So it's no secret that Ben Shapiro has seriously fallen off, and I'm not making that up or exaggerating in the slightest. If you take a look at the Daily Wire channel or any of his recent uploads, Ben Shapiro is not the titan of right-wing propaganda that he used to be back in the day, and this is significant because many people who were once part of Daily Wire have very clearly just sort of ran away with his fans, notably Candace Owens, who is now one of the most prominent grifting conspiracy theorists on all of the internet, basically replacing Ben Shapiro in a lot of ways. One of the stories that she's used very effectively to bolster herself to the top is her proximity to Charlie Kirk. She and Charlie Kirk were legitimately, actually really good friends, like bowling together, fishing together. I mean, the amount of selfies they have together, just hanging out and doing stuff. A lot of people have theorized there might have been more going on between the two of them, despite, I think, both of them being married. That aside, though, Candace Owens seemingly took Charlie Kirk getting shot very, very seriously and started relentlessly calling for the truth of what happened. Though weirdly enough, she wouldn't accept the possibility that Tyler Robinson did it, which is just weird, right? Like, here we have the guy that all of the evidence suggests is the killer. But no, I think something else was involved. And we've tried our best to be charitable with these conspiracies about who really killed Charlie Kirk. But Candace Owens and everybody else who peddles these conspiracies that it was somebody else or it was TPUSA or anything, it just doesn't line up. There's no actual evidence to support these claims. If you think you could support any of those claims, I welcome you to try on my stream, but you won't be able to. However, Candace Owens is really good at peddling conspiracies, and she's gotten a ton of views off of it. And I imagine that Ben Shapiro is kind of salty about this, because now he's calling it out, and he seems like, I don't know, I think he's a little mad about it.
Today is a highly important show. Today, we are going to uncover the real murderer of Charlie Kirk. It's time. We've been working for months on a deep and detailed investigation. It's not who you think. Today, we are going to discuss who was really behind Charlie Kirk's assassination. Candace Owens. This is the Ben Shapiro Show.
Yeah, I think Ben might be a little bit mad. He seems a little bit mad, I'm not gonna lie.
So we didn't want to talk about this. We didn't. But we've been digging, we have been investigating, we've been tugging on every thread, been tracing every single line of investigation to get to the bottom of what really happened. What really happened. What super really happened with Charlie Kirk's assassination on September 10th, 2025. The story actually begins before that. In the spring of 2025, when Candace Owens, the podcaster, her brand, was having some trouble. She was sued by the First Lady of France. She was hemorrhaging mainstream sponsors. She was losing her staff. She was feuding with pretty much everybody. And then something changed. Charlie Kirk was murdered. You remember, September 10th, 2025? Her Charlie Kirk coverage rebuilt her audience and drove record merch sales. That's what she said. Not me, it's what she said. And turned her into the main character in the biggest story in America. I mean, here she was in May of this year.
We are on track for this to be the biggest day in our merch sale history on the website. We love you guys for actually buying.
The sad thing is, Ben is real. Like, he is calling something out here that's real. Of all the people in the right-wing space that push their propaganda and their nonsense, Ben Shapiro is one of the few people who isn't a grifter. Like, he believes I think every one of the things he says, unless it comes to Trump. Most of the time when he's talking about Trump, I think he is just playing into the popular sentiment. But on most issues, I think he's genuine. He doesn't really have to lie about what he believes, because he does align with most of the culture war stuff and pretty much all the policy of the right. But he is correct in what he's calling out here. Like, Candace Owens is an absolute grifter who is weaponizing the death of her apparent best friend in order to have a massive just skyrocket in success and viewership online. It's a little bit distasteful.
Merch just to spite the people that were calling for a merch boycott.
And you got to follow how the money is structured. You got to follow it. You got to follow just follow it, okay? The revenue from
He's doing a parody of Candace right now.
This coverage doesn't flow to a human. It flows through a lattice of corporate entities like Candace Owens LLC and George Tom Incorporated. The kind of architecture you build when you want distance between yourself and the product by Candace Owens' own.
Man, I hate that I'm online enough to get these little references, but the architecture line, that was a reference to Candace Owens reading architecture as architecture.
on-air admission, had its single biggest sales day in company history because of the Charlie Kirk assassination. Charlie Kirk dies, and Candace gets richer, a lot richer. But at whose direction? That is the big question. I mean, Candace has a lot of foreign connections, like a lot. See, here's the thing. Charlie Kirk, at the end of his life, was going after radical Islam. That was his biggest cause just before he was murdered. You'll remember Charlie saying this.
Islam is not compatible with Western civilization. Islam is...
Now this part, I don't know where, I don't know where I want to fall on this part of their debate, but there's this constant back and forth between pro-Israel and anti-Israel conservatives as to whether or not in his final days, Charlie Kirk was turning on Israel. Now, Ben Shapiro would obviously argue that Charlie Kirk was super pro-Israel, and he was criticizing Islam and Arabs and whatnot, and that's what led to him getting shot. That's what Ben would argue, because of course Ben would argue this. He's an Israeli nationalist weirdo. However, you've got like people like Candace Owens who have been saying that Charlie Kirk, in his final days, he was starting to question Israel. He was starting to, I believe there was even something about Netanyahu calling him and having to like straighten him out like a day before he was shot or something like that. And a lot of this originates from Candace Owens and her circle and her loyalists, I suppose you could call them. So it's hard to know what's even worth taking seriously, but the back and forth is interesting. It's almost like, I don't even know what to compare it to. Like, they genuinely do treat Charlie Kirk like he's some kind of prophet.
At odds with all the freedoms that we enjoy. They do not believe in any separation between mosque and state. They do not believe in freedom of speech or freedom of expression. They do not believe in the freedom to criticize the government. The practices that we enjoy so great here in the United States of America. And here's the one thing that's the kicker. You have this axis, again, the red-green axis, this Marxism-Mohammedanism axis. What do they have in common? Even though a lot of the Marxists are lesbians or gays or transgenders, they get along with the Muslims. They get along because they hate us.
This is Charlie Kirk's cause, right? But Candace had lots of new relationships with people in the Islamic world. Maybe directing traffic, or we don't know. We're just asking questions.
Ah, thank you for giving me an excuse to do a call to action. Lolly Van is a moron. So, how you having 113k subs but getting ratioed by people with 1/10 of your subs, lol loser. Hear that, chat? Gotta like the stream, gotta comment on the videos. Chuds are taking the piss out of me for not getting enough views. You guys gotta support the content, or the Chuds are they're gonna win, guys. See, that's why you gotta boost the content.
We're just asking questions, but we're not stupid. We're not stupid. Something changed. She suddenly started talking about the magic of Islam. Here she was in March.
These terror groups, these Muslim terrorists, for whatever reason, these Muslim terrorists only want to terrorize to benefit Israel. It's so strange. I cannot work it out. If you're a Muslim terrorist, we want to hear from you. Why are you doing that, right? Why are you stealing and robbing and doing things down in Congo to the benefit of Israel? We want to hear from you. It's very strange. More tips. Candace Owens gone. Hey, hello, I'm a Muslim terrorist and I work for Israel. Why do you do that?
Weird, isn't it? Right? I mean, right?
Dude, like, Ben comes off as so mad here, the way that he's, like, imitating her mannerisms and stuff, but it is spot on, to be fair. So I don't know whether or not I should see this as a good gotcha, or just kind of sad. Because at the end of the day, Ben is one of the last relatively honest figures in the online right, and he is getting dog-walked by the biggest, most blatant lying grifter in all of right-wing politics. It's like, man, I don't know what to tell you, Ben. Like, pick a different side, or not even a different side. Like, this is just politics, dude. Like, don't pick fight with the big successful grifters. They're good at this shit.
I mean, Charlie starts warning about radical Islam, and suddenly Candace discovers that maybe we've just been misunderstanding Islam this whole time. She literally apologized to Muslims on behalf of America because she says Americans were brainwashed after 9/11 by propaganda, and she didn't even know what a Muslim was. That's what she said. That's what she said. We're not stupid. We're not. She invited Muslim terrorists to reach out to her because, you see, the jihadis are the victims. And if a Muslim terrorist says he's doing it for Allah, well, that's because somebody else wrote the script. Probably the Zionists. Hamas says Hamas did it, doesn't count. And ISIS claims responsibility, suspicious. And Iran chants death to America. That's what they want you to think. That's what Candace says. And it's not just about Islam and her newfound magical relationship with Islam. See, Candace developed a really close relationship with Russia, like super duper close. Like, go to St. Petersburg and hang out with members of the Putin apparatus. Close. Here she was, having a good old time in Russia. She also, by the way, speaking of foreign relationships, developed some weird relationships with alleged sex traffickers.
She is very much a bought and paid for puppet of the Russian government. There's no question of that.
In Romania. I mean, right there. You can see it. With the
Oh.
live sex trafficker in Romania. You know who hated sex trafficking? Charlie Kirk. Hated sex trafficking. Coincidence? Is any of this a coincidence? I'm not stupid. So this is weird, really weird. She's in Romania.
I'm not gonna lie, Ben Shapiro has the soul of a 17-year-old girl. He is being so petty and so catty right now. Like, this is some mean girl shit, right? Like, this is... like, he's a dude, so we're not seeing it, but, like, this is some real mean girls, like, type shit. That's the way it kind of comes off to me, where he's, like, imitating her bit and doing sarcastic little jab references, and he's acting all snarky. He's a mean girl right now.
Hanging with sex traffickers. Charlie's condemning sex traffickers, and then Charlie dies. The single most important person fighting radical Islam just gets killed. Convenient. Like, very, very convenient. A person who knew Candace really well, who texted with her regularly, who would have known what she was up to, maybe suspected what was happening. And then he just so happens to be murdered. And she starts making money. It's just, that's all I'm saying. Some interesting motivation. That's all we're saying. Interesting. But what about, like, means? I mean, murder requires motive and means and opportunity, right? So what about means? See, here's the thing. Candace knew everything. She was Charlie's best friend. Like, his best friend. They were so close. Like, closer than any humans who have ever lived. She was his best friend. Here she was, the day after Charlie was killed.
But I don't want today to be about anything other than you guys knowing that Charlie really was an amazing person. You know, he was like, we were really close. And he was my best friend and my brother.
I mean, how close was their relationship? I mean, it may have been for her even more than like a brotherly relationship. I mean, let's be real. You don't talk about suspicious.
Oh,
she
no.
got married in what is easily the weirdest love story of like all time. I mean, she met her husband, George, and she barely knew him. And then they just got married. That's an op, okay? We're not stupid. We're not stupid. Okay, we're not stupid. That's an op. That's an op. Candace supposedly attends a crowded dinner party consisting of like 30 people. You want to guess who else was seated at that exact same table? Charlie Kirk. Is that a coincidence? He was there when she met her husband. It was at that exact event that she met George Farmer, who was the wealthy son of prominent British Tory peer, Lord Michael Farmer. Here was...
Keep in mind, by the way, this is literally Candace Owens' bit. Like, down to the mannerisms he's imitating. He's doing Candace Owens right now. Keep in mind, Candace really is super dishonest. Like, she's being sued from multiple directions right now. In one area, by the president of France, because she has written multiple books and has been running multiple documentaries and an ongoing series trying to prove that the president of France's wife is secretly a transgender woman. Mind you, like, she has shown her birth certificate. There's been, like, DNA tests done to show she's got 2 X chromosomes. And on top of, like, but Candace Owens literally said she needed to see Brigitte Macron's vagina to believe her. I'm not joking. Candace said that is what needed to happen for the investigation to stop. So they're suing Candace. Because it's been ongoing years of harassment. Like, you can't set up a career around demanding a woman show you her vagina, or you're going to harass her and her family forever. You can't do that without getting sued eventually, and that's just what happened to Candace.
Candace describing this with her husband, George.
I sat next to you and basically said nothing to me.
Correct. Yeah. I did what I've done for the past 6 years.
That's her husband?
And it worked.
And it worked. Yeah,
It absolutely
And then you
worked.
married me, so I have no idea why.
Yeah. 18 days later,
Yeah, that's right.
we get engaged.
And I called her and I just said, listen, I know this is completely crazy and we've just met, but how do you feel about getting married to me?
Just real quick. I missed the bit where there was any sort of...
There was literally nothing romantic had been said up to this point.
Okay.
I mean, literally nothing.
So I guess I missed nothing.
We hadn't gone on a date. We had not talked about marriage or the future or anything like that.
All right.
And and she said yes.
Weird, because...
Shit, okay, I'm not gonna lie. I am starting to think maybe there is something going on. The weird thing is, when you actually start looking with, like, a super conspiratorial mindset at Candace, you're gonna find weird shit. Because Candace is involved in conspiratorial shit. Like, she's working with the Russian government. She's getting talking points from God knows where. She's connected on so many levels with oligarchs in all sorts of different countries. And she's got interests that we can't even imagine, I'm sure. But, yeah. There's stuff to find out if you look into her.
You know, there it is. I mean, does that sound natural to you? Does that sound like people who just met, started dating, fell in love? I mean, you're telling me that the night they laid eyes on each other and the day he proposed, between those 2 times, 0 romantic overtures, none, no dating, no courting. 17 days later, formally engaged? You're telling me that I'm supposed to believe 17 days from total strangers to securing a multi-million-dollar marriage alliance into the British House of Lords? Into the British House of Lords? I mean, come on. That doesn't just look suspicious. That looks like a strategic corporate acquisition. Like big corporate acquisition. Like big capitalism at work. What about Charlie? Well, she was acting as his wing woman. You know, like manipulating him in his life. I mean, she openly boasted on air about acting as Charlie's personal psychological gatekeeper and his wing woman. Here she was.
I'm going to miss Charlie going on dates and the girls they liked and me always being the wing woman and him asking. This text message is one of my favorite text messages between me and Charlie when he was getting ready to go on a date. And, you know, he didn't date many people. And he was just kind of in love with this girl. And he was asking me, should I wear this? And this is the text message. It's so sweet. He said, do I have to change this shirt? And I wrote back, yes. And throw it away if you can. Charlie.
Wait, what did he really mean by this? She wants us to believe it was change, but are we sure this isn't code for something else?
Yes. And throw it away if you can. Charlie.
I mean, think about what she's doing there. Publicly transmitting to the grieving widow, Erica, that she was the one who controlled Charlie's appearance. She was the one dictating his choices long before Erica ever entered the frame. We're talking classic behavioral markers here, folks. Project a phantom homewrecker narrative onto the outside world to mask your own historical boundary-crossing infatuation with Charlie Kirk. We'll unspool more of this in just 1 second because we need to get to the actual root truth. The actual root truth. But here's an actual, real truth. If you have phone coverage, you need the best phone coverage. And this is why I use Pure Talk.
Shut up, Ben, bro. Get your ass through your little sponsored segment.
PureTalk.com/Shapiro. There's something else.
Get back
Candace,
to the
of
memes.
course, says that Erica was somehow involved in the murder or the cover-up of the murder. But Candace also claims she literally set up Erica with Charlie. Here she was saying that the day after Charlie was killed.
And of course,
wait, but hasn't Candace claimed that Erica was some kind of honeypot or honey trap this whole time? So, like, does that mean Candace was in on it? If she set them up?
Charlie fell in love with Erica. That entire journey to me when I was reading through the text is so funny because it was exceptional. I was always leaning into Charlie's analytical mind and making fun of him. Like, oh, all we need to do is get a plan. You love Erica? Okay, what's the plan? What are we going to do? What's step 1? What's step 2? And the plan that I came up with instantly was all we have to do is convince her that her last name is terrible. Her last name, she's got to marry you because it's practical. Kirk is Mrs. Erica Kirk sounds so much better than Miss Erica Francie. What is that last name?
I mean, this is suspicious, right? I mean, so suspicious. I mean, look at those mannerisms, by the way. Like, so suspicious. So suspicious. What are we, dumb? Are we stupid? Use some common sense. Candace says that Erica is now some sort of agent of evil. But Candace helped Erica marry him. So if she was so evil, why would you do something like that? It doesn't sound suspicious, like, at all. Like setting somebody up or anything like that. See, here's the thing. Candace knew Charlie's world from the inside. She knew the personnel, the protocols, the security company. She has said on the record that her security team worked.
Okay, we have to respect the fact that at least Israel has also drove a massive wedge into the right. It's not just the left that's fractured over the Israel stuff. The right is absolutely ripping itself apart from the inside as well.
With the very men she now accuses. And she can't think of anyone in private security she doesn't get along with. You gotta think about that. Just think about it. Just use your brain. She knew exactly which seams of the story to pull out because she knew all the people involved. I mean, here she was admitting it. Just admitting it right out. Like it's no big deal.
I confirmed this with security inside of Turning Point. There somehow happened to be a leak, and so they can't dispute this.
I mean, she's involved with all of this information and with all the people involved, and she knows all of them. And where was Candace when all this was going down? We have no idea. None. Where was Candace in the days before September 10th? She admits on air to memory gaps. She says she genuinely forgot an entire trip to Maine. Just blacked out. Do we believe that? That she just forgets things like that? I mean, here she was explaining.
It's so petty and catty, but I love it, dude. I really do. Seeing Ben Shapiro call out Candace Owens is nice because as much as Ben Shapiro is kind of getting dog-walked by her due to the fact that she is kind of running away with the entire Daily Wire audience, which she was a part of the Daily Wire and got fired or quit. I think it was, I can't remember which, but she left and felt that she needed to leave and did not come out of it in good terms with the Daily Wire by any means. So this is a vendetta that is years in the making. They fired her. That makes it even better. They fired her, then she took their audience, and now he's calling her out for being a grifter, which she is, by the way. It's pretty fun. It's a pretty good saga. I've been quite enjoying it myself. Well, folks, if you enjoyed this segment, then consider leaving a like and a comment on the video. It really helps a lot, and as you know, it'll piss off the nearest chud. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications if you want to see more from me in the future. Follow my social medias, linked down below in the description, and I hope to see you in the next one.